Travis here at the Heroes of the Storm Americas Championships. I'm joined by Matt Cooper, who is, well, can you give me your title?
So I'm the lead live designer on Heroes of the Storm.
You guys always have all these extra things. It's not just a designer, it's a lead live designer. Sometimes I like to get it right. Either way, let's just dive in. So how do you feel about Heroes at this point in terms of development? You know, we're several months out from launch and all that. So how do you feel about the game at this point?
I think things are going really well. Obviously, we're having a big esports tournament this weekend, which is super exciting, and BlizzCon's coming up. I think adding all these new heroes, these new battlegrounds recently has done a lot of positive things to the game, really fleshed out the meta a little bit more. So super exciting.
Any information or teases you can give on the medic coming up soon?
She's a StarCraft support.
Okay. Oh, well, that's very informational. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I get it. So yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys are trying to kind of flesh out the supports right now.
Yeah, and I think Dustin's also tweeted about Tehran and Tassadar having some changes in coming to them. That's actually been playing really well, which is pretty exciting. Like it feels like internally, at least, it's added almost 2 more supports to the game, which is pretty exciting.
Now, kind of diving into balanced questions, since we headed in that direction. How do you feel about Kael'thas right now? Because he saw a couple nerfs, but sort of talking to a couple people, seems like some people think he's still a little strong. Any thoughts on him?
I think he might be a little strong. Like if you look at, for our internal stats at least, like he's doing about what we'd hope in terms of like win percentage and stuff like that. I think his chain bomb talent might be a little too good. So any changes we do might be focused around that.
Okay. So maybe changes in the future around that. Maybe. Okay. How about Leoric?
Leoric, he's one of our top win percentage characters. I think his wave clear is a little too good. Him and Johanna both brought in a lot of wave clear through Johanna through her talent. So that's something we're looking to address.
Yeah. How do you guys look at wave clear? Because obviously that is a big factor in a game like Heroes.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of interesting. Like maybe 6 months ago, I don't think wave clear was really valued that much by us or even by the community. So whenever we would do a talent that does bonus damage to minions, we'd have to crank it up to like 300% for anyone to pick it. All of a sudden, I think wave clear has become like a big reason certain characters are seen in play. So I think we have to value that more, and like what does this character bring to the table? Like if they bring really strong wave clear, that's a legitimate thing.
Now, I know also people kind of talking about Zeratul. Any thoughts on him? Always a big topic.
Zeratul. He's another one of those characters that's 100% pick ban at a lot of the tournament pro scene that we see. Internally, he's right around 51%. So we are looking at some nerfs because he is so prevalent in the pro scene, but we don't want to affect like the majority of our players who are basically performing how we'd want to. So some things we're looking at are like Void Prison is obviously really strong. Wormhole, the pros can do a lot of really cool stuff with it, but it might be a little bit too good. It's kind of a must-pick talent for a lot of them. And maybe he has a little bit too much burst damage.
Yeah. How do you reconcile these moments when you see something that's like 100% pick ban, but then looks balanced in almost every other situation?
I think we have to weigh it. Like if sometimes it seems like there's an easy way to fix it without, screwing over the other side. Like for Zeratul, like a lot of the, say, average skilled users, like they don't necessarily pick Wormhole, and when they do, it's not, their win percentage doesn't necessarily go up with that talent. But obviously it's a huge problem at the pro scene. So I think that's like potentially an easy win for us. The great thing is like we can see the pick rates of a talent, but we can also see the win rate when you pick a talent, and at different MMRs, different regions, that kind of thing. So a lot of the time we'll see like, wow, everyone picks this talent, and they actually should be picking this talent because it actually has a higher win rate.
How are things coming along, and is there any movement towards looking at adding bans into the game and that kind of thing? Because obviously that's another big topic.
Yeah, so I mean, we've discussed adding bans into like ranked play or whatever, but it's something we're not going to do right now. Like we want to see how the community plays with the system and how it kind of goes going forward. I think we're potentially open to the idea, but it's not something we're going to do right now.
Is there any thought? Because I mean, this kind of goes back a little bit to when you're looking at balancing like Zeratul between, obviously band's very important to the esports community. So is there a decision made there where it's like, okay, this is something that would really benefit them, but maybe it's just not enough for the rest of the community? Or, I mean, how do you look at something like bans in this situation?
Well, so if you add bans into like a ranked play, we increase the number of characters players have to own, right? So that's another barrier. If you want to go play ranked play, well, you need now 12 characters, 14 characters, that kind of thing. And I think having your favorite character banned all the time, like that's not a great solve. I think for us, we'd rather tackle like, why is Zeratul picked 100% of the time? All right, let's do something about that, right? Like maybe he's just a little too good.
Is there ever a moment where you feel like it has to go in, even if it's not just for like ranked play, but because I know that like at tournaments like this, they're using third-party tools to sort of do the drafting, including bans and all that. Anyway, that's what I'd heard. So do you feel like there comes a point in time where you need to add those features in or those tools just to support like the tournament play?
Well, I think I haven't played a lot of custom games in Heroes, but I believe we do have a drafting thing in our custom games. But I mean, obviously, we do want to support the esports community and all that. So we're going to continue fleshing out all those features. We don't, it's not ideal for us if people are going to like a third party website or whatever to set up their matches and stuff like that.
How about from a spectator and observer mode sort of feature set? Are you guys looking at anything like that? I know people often talk about sort of how things look at tournaments and that kind of thing, but how do you feel about that current situation?
So I know our UI online group has like 100 things they want to do, right? And I know there's a lot of spectator and observer stuff on that list. So it's definitely stuff we want to improve. Like if you look at StarCraft, like that system has come a long way since the launch of that game. So I think there's definitely more we want to do there, but they're just, they have to weigh it against all the other things they want to do.
It's kind of funny. I mean, I'm always interested in how things are behind the scenes, because for a game like Heroes, you launch the game and it's like, yeah, we launched the game, it's out, and then obviously people like myself and people in the community come at you and they say, well, why isn't this in? Why isn't this in? Why isn't this in? So what is kind of like the atmosphere and the feel from you guys in terms of developing and adding on to Heroes, especially when you're getting so many demands like this all the time?
I mean, there's no shortage of work, right? Like, so there's definitely like, we obviously try and prioritize like the features and stuff like that we think will make the game better. But we're also looking at, the forums and the posts and stuff like that and seeing like what people really want. Like, okay, maybe we should bump that up, right? Like we really need that feature. Right now there's been a lot of, like we have one of our main, I guess he's like our, I don't know his title. One of our engineers, he's really focused on our match.
The titles are very complicated, right? This is what I asked in the beginning.
He's one of our like infrastructure engineers. That's probably wrong, but anyway, he's focused on like matchmaking right now because that's obviously a big thing. The community's given us a lot of feedback on.
Yeah. Is there a lot of prep going on for BlizzCon? Because I know that's just around the corner right now. I don't know if that's like a big, for like a game like WoW, you guys reveal like an expansion or something like that. Whereas Heroes and I guess maybe like Hearthstone, which are constantly being added onto, I don't know what like a BlizzCon looks like for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like say our events team, like they're, I'm sure, extremely busy at BlizzCon right now. On the dev side, like I think last year we showed off 3 heroes at BlizzCon, so there's possibilities we might show off some new characters this year at BlizzCon. A lot of that stuff, though, like for us, how we work in the development process, like we're working months out on heroes, right? So we've already got a lot of heroes internally that we're testing that maybe we haven't announced yet, or so on. So
for you coming to an event like this or a tournament like this and seeing such high level play, how much is that, like, you come here and you watch the stuff, how much of that do you bring back with you when you go back to Irvine and you're like, okay, I just saw some stuff that happened this weekend, we really need to talk about this? Does that happen, or is it just sort of like, look at what we've been able to create, like these really cool moments?
It's definitely both, right? Like there's some really cool epic moments out of these things, and it's just like, wow, that was amazing. But at the same time, there's usually a lot of things like, oh, that, I think the last big one for me was BlizzCon last year. Was that's basically when we had a lot of, for us, it was the second health bars. So it was like if the Odin died, Tychus popped out, and if used Abathur's clone, right, that was like a second health bar, and just all these things, right? So it was like, okay, that became a big thing at the office. So it was like, let's let's redesign Odin. Does Abathur's ultimate that makes a second Odin, right? Like, do we need to give ults to that and stuff like that? So I'm sure there will be some things that come out of this tournament that we want to make changes for.
All right, so kind of winding down, but I have a friend in Europe who would probably be yelling at me if I didn't ask you this question, despite the fact that it was probably an engineering kind of question or IT. But apparently there's been some server issues over there for the past couple of days. How are you guys looking at, sort of adjusting these things? I know it's a common issue whenever a game comes out. For a while there's some server issues, but are you guys any approaches or anything you guys can talk about right now?
So I'm not an engineer. I don't really know about the issues. I know we have obviously regional teams, right? So I get a feedback report every week from, about community topics, right? It covers all the different regions, like what's popular in, the Korean region, LATAM, what they're talking about and stuff like that. So the best bet, I guess, would be we're aware of it and we're working on it, but that's about the best I can.
That's fair. I understand. It's all the way over in Europe. I barely keep track of those guys.
I mean, it should be obvious, but obviously, we want to have good uptime on our, our service and stuff like that. So that is a big priority for us.
Understandable. Hey, thank you so much for the interview. Really appreciate good insight. Looking forward to watching some more games this weekend and also seeing, everything ahead of BlizzCon before we get there. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
For everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage of all things Heroes of the Storm and more at GameSpot.com.